Hi guys, welcome to Origin. Time for a sequel. In this video I want to talk about mainly coffee and tea. Grown-up drinks. But thanks to a comment on part 1 of this Growing Out of It series, I'm also going to be talking about other things like anything that's basically seen as kids stuff. But as to coffee and tea, I want to tell you something that happened to me a few years ago. I've only ever met someone in a Starbucks or anything like that once. It wasn't a date or anything, it was just a friend that I'd not seen in a couple of years. Now, I've tried coffee and tea before, and while I didn't think they were terrible, it's not the kind of thing that I'd want to drink regularly. So on this meeting at Starbucks, I bought a bottle of orange juice. It was one of those really small ones. And right off the bat, I thought that it might be perceived as weird to not have bought a coffee or something like that, so I finished it before the other person arrived. Now about 10 or 15 minutes into them arriving, they asked if I was going to have anything. I told them I already had, and I showed them the empty orange juice bottle on the table. And they just said, "Oh, that's not a very grown-up drink, is it?" But it was only after that day that I really started thinking about what that person had said, and coming to the conclusion that it was just ridiculous. I mean, what can you objectively say about coffee or tea that makes it a grown-up drink, and anything else, well, particularly orange juice here, not one? And certainly I can think of at least two things that you might be able to say. It's served hot, and it has caffeine in it. Well, coffee does at least. Tea has some, but not much, but it does have something similar. It's called L-theanine, which from what I understand, it produces similar effects to caffeine. Now, I've never had to make this argument before, but if I did, I'd anticipate that the reaction would make either one or both of those 2 points. So assuming that's the case, I want to address each of these points individually. First, hot beverages. Well, one hot beverage that kids drink quite a lot is hot chocolate. I mean, yeah, it could have something to do with the fact that it has chocolate in the name, but it is still a beverage that's served hot. And if you extend it to really any kind of hot, liquidy food of any sort, then, you know, what about any kind of soup? What about sauces that are served hot with chicken or something like that? And as for caffeine, well, so many sugary drinks have caffeine in it. Maybe not quite on the same level, but there is still caffeine in them. But the real damning argument against the caffeine point is energy drinks. Now, while they might not often be drunk by kids, it's not viewed in the same respectable light as coffee and tea. For example, there's this one energy drink which I have every day called Relentless. I'm not sure how well known it is across the world, but it comes in 500ml cans, and it contains as much caffeine as 2 cups of coffee. Now for coffee drinkers, that's, you know, a pretty normal, if not quite light, daily consumption. But I still get told by quite a few people, "Oh, there's tons of caffeine in that drink, oh, it'll screw you up." And maybe it will for some of the other ingredients in it, but not the caffeine content. So here's my question. If I boiled a can of Relentless and drank that, would you leave me alone? Yes, obviously I'd take it out the can first. No. Again, it comes back to adults drink it, therefore it's a grown-up drink. And once again, it's so universal and so strong a social norm that if you don't do it, you're weird. Or worse, you're not very grown up, are you? So what about comics? Well, that one's very simple. If you have certain newspapers, especially here in the UK, there's a cartoon called Dilbert. But that's in every paper, and that's read by tons of adults every day. So is Dilbert just for children? What about Disney films? Didn't I see that all 3 of the Toy Story films had Rotten Tomatoes ratings in the high 90s? In fact, I think Toy Story 3 even had 100%. But these are reviewed by adults. And yeah, they could just be reviewing it from a child's point of view, but many adults love all of these films as well, especially the Pixar ones. And here's one. What about anime? Would you show your child Death Note? I mean, personally, I would, because I'm just like that, but is Death Note really for kids just because it's a cartoon? The message is very simple. There's many different reasons for liking certain types of food or drink, liking certain types of media, comics, anime, games. There's so many different attributes to each game, to each film, to each drink. There's so many different ways in which they could be appreciated and things they could be appreciated for. But we write off entire genres, entire styles of all of these different things for such superficial reasons, but none more annoyingly than simply because our immediate social group doesn't like it. How pathetic. Someone could have so much in common with you already, why write them off simply because of a few differences that are so different to what you're used to? I've said my piece, so what do you guys think? Do you have any similar stories? Do you have any comments on anything I've said? Have I just, in this video, been spouting off a whole bunch of crap? Tell me whatever it is that's on your mind. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.